Sure.
I started classes 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
which is crazy. No one doesn't do it after Labor.
That's pretty
I know.
Hey, will Charlotte move today?
Yeah, I think it depends on where you are. Like the South tends to start much sooner.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right. A lot of Clemson kids were
yeah. They're already back.
4 or 6.
Yeah, first game of the season is this weekend.
Oh, really?
He's doing well. Settled.
I think so. Like, hey, he's doing good.
Yeah,
He's doing good. We'll see, right? He can be up and down.
yeah, totally.
Charlotte like found her keyboard right away. It was good. She got homesick, but she was.
Yeah.
I think he seems to really like it.
Hey, David.
Thank you. Everybody ready? Good late afternoon, early evening, everyone. Today is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Charter Review Committee. And I am serving at this time as vice chair, and I am here and opening the meeting because, as maybe unbeknownst to a number of people, hopefully not anybody here, but we do not have a chairperson because of the unexpected resignation of Steve Rubesco. I just want to remark that Steve was an effective leader and that he was always into everything. He did say some things that sometimes that may have caused an eyebrow to raise or whatever, but in any event, I know that he has apologized, at least in some part, to a number of people, and hopefully nobody feels a sting or whatever. But we must proceed from there, and hopefully we will do so in a expeditious and collegial manner. And I'm sure that we can all work together. We have in the past, and it's just time to maybe get the train on just a little bit of another track and move on from there. So those are my remarks. The first thing that is calling to order is that I know we have a quorum. Everybody that is currently on the roster of members is present, so we don't have a quorum issue. And we are obviously in the training room at the Paxton Public Safety Complex. And we have published a meeting notice, and I'm told that it was accurate, so good for that. The first thing that we will do as an order of business, and I will not necessarily do this in order, is to check and see if everybody is prepared to review and vote on acceptance of the last meeting notice minutes from August the 25th. Thanks to Chuck's diligent efforts, even when he was out of town for a while, he managed to put together this, so I was very happy to see that because it gives me some time to talk about something that's on here. But does anybody have any comments as to whether or not they're ready to proceed with the review of the minutes or discussion of the minutes and adoption of the minutes?
No objections on my end.
Paul?
I read the minutes, but I wasn't here, so I can't comment on their thoroughness, but I thought they looked great.
Okay, well, I agree with that, and I just want to note that you're certainly entitled and welcome to comment. There's nothing that prohibits you from doing so, and I would encourage you to comment on anything that's in there, even though you weren't here. That's one of the reasons we have minutes, is people who are unable to be present have an opportunity to see what happened and whatever. So, nothing to say? This matter?
No, looked good to me.
Megan?
Looks good to me. Do we do a motion to accept, or is that after?
Well, let's just see what the heck Chuck does. He may have an
I
error.
thought they were outstanding.
Well, I second that motion. They were. And I have no objection either. I think they were very well done and very done in a timely manner. And back channel, I have said to Chuck that this is yeoman work, which is a compliment from somebody like me. With that being said, may I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes from August 11th of 2025?
Motion to accept the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
May we vote on that? Chuck, you're going to vote?
All right.
Aye.
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 And I vote aye as well. The meeting minutes are adopted and shall be referred to the town clerk and published as a public record. Thank you very much for that. See, we've accomplished something already. The second thing on the agenda that I prepared is committee reorganization, but I think we'll hold that off just for a little while. So let's proceed basically into a brief report and discussion of the proposed charter draft, which, as you know, Steve has worked on, Paul has contributed a bit, Gary has contributed a bit, I've worked on it, and currently I'm working on preparing the final version of a draft that will be sent to the rest of you for you to do, as Steve had said, to eat our own dog. Gary, you have the floor.
So, probably over the past few weeks, we initially met just to make sure we touched upon an outline of all the things that we had in our mind for what the charter was going to look like. So we created the outline, and then we began to look at different charters to see what was different aspects of those charters that we could use and adopt for our own, and then add in all of the recommendations and nuances that make Paxton Paxton. And that's kind of where Steve and I were working on it about a week to 10 days ago, and we came up with, we thought was a pretty good initial draft, and we then wanted to hand that over to Dave to take a different kind of look at it from his perspective. And that's where we are right now. He's reviewing and revising it, not yet to a point where we think that we can share it with the other 3 members of the committee, who's going to be doing a different type of review. So I think that that's where I'm at. I think that that's where the drafting phase is at. It's pretty extensive. It is completely modified from, if you look at what our current faux charter is, but I think we're on the right track. If I had to take a number guess, I'd probably say around 75% we're there.
Wow.
Wow, that's,
Well, that's due to the diligent work of everybody. I mean, you guys have all, informally made suggestions or comments that I hope you'll see reflected in the ultimate thing that we're going to put before you. I think it's good. It certainly is better than what we have. Not to say anything's bad about whatever. Does anybody have any comments at this point about what Gary has just told us? Concerns, questions, critiques? Okay, so nobody's holding their breath waiting for it, but it is coming.
So once we're done and we're comfortable, I think when we hand it off, the level of review that we're hoping for from the other half of our committee is going to be a combination of making sure the order looks good, making sure that there is no internal conflicts with any of the things that we're saying, making sure that whatever appropriate recommendations that we've made is included and built into the charter draft, making sure there's no typos, there's no grammar concerns, and that it flows well. So it's not just a review in terms of reading it and talking about it. It really is a very comprehensive review to the point that once you're ready from your end, then, and we think that we have a product that's almost ready to be shared, whatever language that we've added in that may have some measure of substance or controversy, I think that we need to talk through as to what that is and make sure we're all 6 of us now or 5 of us are comfortable, and be prepared to create a document that summarizes it and answers the question why. Because we were challenged with that along the way to say, why are we doing this? So I think that's where we're going to end up, we hope, I think sometime in September. That's the goal.
Well done. Anything else that you want to say, Gary?
No.
Anything anybody wants to add? Okay, excellent. Megan, I apologize for putting you on twice, but I just thought it's time you caught up with some of the fact that we haven't heard a lot from you because sometimes you've been cut off. So we shall not let that happen ever again.
No, that's okay.
The first item that I mentioned was, that's mentioned on here is the October special event.
Oh.
And I guess that's something that could use some discussion, but where are you on that?
Yeah, so we've aligned with some of the other committee members. So right now, we're looking at a date. October 25th is what we've proposed and what we'd like to propose here tonight to get approval on it. They came back to us, the soccer asylum, they're going to do it for free. So the decision about cost is off the table because they've waived that fee and will cover it for us. Where we're leaning now is that this isn't just a charter review opportunity, but actually a community-wide opportunity for all the committees to join. So we're going to use this as, we were toying around with that, like a civic social of some sort. The real purpose is to bring the community together. We can have up to 200 people, and we're going to invite people to talk about what are the committees that exist in this town, how could they get involved, how can they volunteer, and give us a chance to talk about the work we've done with the charter to this point. From that, it's more of a networking, open, social forum so that we can actually talk to all the community members that are there to say, what are your questions about the charter? What do you think should be in it? Even talk about some of those draft components or whatever it might be. We can really use this any way we want to. But it will be a fun social networking opportunity to help everybody understand what we've been doing, where they can support it, and where we go from here. Even a cornhole tournament among the committee members. So we're pulling that together. But instead of it just being us planning this event, Roberta from CRC is joined, Tony from Finance, and a few others. We're going to meet together to make this more of a comprehensive event.
I think that's outstanding, and I know, as you may be aware, that was one of the things that came up in the, visiting, getting solicitations from people that Gary and myself and Steve did when we met with all the committee heads and boards and employees and staff and things like that. One of the things they wanted was, hey, really have to have some team building, work here. We have some committees that, have responsibilities or ideas or, agendas that are kind of overlapping. And that hasn't happened for whatever reason. I mean, and some of the committees expressed concerns to us that, can you put it in the charter somehow? Well, no, we don't have to put it in the charter right away. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
And obviously you took advantage and ran with it. So I think that's something to appreciate. The fact that you managed to, to get them to do it for free is wonderful, because that was one kind of a roadblock.
It's a sticky
that was about,
situation.
since we don't have any budget. We can't.
If we offer a donation, they'll probably take it, but yeah. But it's minimal.
We'll just have to buy something at the bar or something.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
But we have our open forum with a room, with a microphone to present if we want to share any of our findings so far and really explain to those that join outside of, even the committees, even the town committees that come to this event, they'll probably want the update as well. We can give it to them. But anybody that's not on any of the committees, we can share what this is all about, how they can actually provide feedback.
Okay.
So it'll be fun.
Any input or comments that anybody wants to make on that?
So I have a concern about timing. Only in the sense that if we are done from our perspective, let's say sometime in September, I think one of the thoughts we wanted to try and do was to share that initial draft with the select board, get their feedback, make whatever adjustments that we need to make, and then secondarily try and submit that revised draft initially back to the stakeholders, department heads, and the heads of those boards, and get further feedback. If I would have liked the opportunity, I think once we all felt as if it was a semi-complete document, before we started going out to the public in some fashion. Because if it's not complete, then I really don't want to try to explain something that is currently there that may not be there in a short period of time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's my only concern. I think knowing that I think our own time frame to some extent has been pushed back a little bit, I thought maybe if that's the plan, I would have liked to have seen some of those things just completed before we actually had that date.
Yeah.
The date could have other purposes. We can share updates
Yeah, that's
and
fine.
where we are as opposed to the actual charter itself and what give an outline of certain things. I think the exact language may be too early to do that.
I like that. I think that's exactly, it can be anything we want it to be. If we had something, that's fine. But I think letting them know we need their participation next year to vote on it and why, and are we asking for any opinion from the community still at this point?
Well, I think one of the things that I found a little bit confining and constricting on the way we were doing it, the approach was that we were, married to a timeline, even though we were saying, well, we're going to get it done and all that sort of thing. I think it's a good time for us to take a little bit of a step back. I'm behind, but that's my own fault. But I think there's no reason why we can't go forward with it on October 25th. I mean, the only concern I have if it's going to be cold outside because, I don't do very well in the court, so I may ask for it to be an indoor cone hop.
It is indoor.
Even better.
They have a huge space.
We have the turf
Turf
for
fields.
the cornhole tournament.
inside.
All right.
Charter review versus finance versus CRC.
I think you have, Megan, you arranged for like 7 saws and the turf field.
We have the whole facility.
I may have to abstain because I have been paid to throw things in my life. And I think that just makes me a professional. I wouldn't want to hurt you amateurs, but I'm glad to,
And that date worked because it was the only date that was available, so we kind of grabbed it for not necessarily that we'll have the finished product, but to solicit just feedback and awareness.
Yeah,
well,
We could probably do it again in the spring.
yeah.
I think, realistically, all other things willing, I think I should get my end of it to Gary. I've sent him my first draft. It's a very rough one. And all I tried to do was show him formatting and that I'm going to do. I think we need to have a charter that's easily for the people. The idea of using a lot of legal words. There's a lot of legal words in some of our drafts, that we reviewed. And I'd like to cut that down as much as possible. I'd also like to, since we don't have the ability right now, although maybe, we didn't get a bylaw committee created. That may not be something that happens, or it may be something that happens soon. But the idea of having us work together with the bylaw committee is still out there. But I'm having the reference so that we don't forget that, we want. I'm using a lot of your shells, and some people may decide that you don't like shells in there, but shells is a good way to do things because it tells people that it has to be done this way. So the reality is, I think we'll have something, even if it's only the first 10 articles of the proposed charter, and we'll send that to the select board. Don't necessarily, there are some things I'd like to proceed before the select board, but I'm not going to say that we're going to send them a draft for them to approve right away because, we still want to make sure we do our due diligence and get on the right pages. What I say is maybe something you think doesn't have to be there. What Gary says is something that needs to be included, but I forgot to include it or didn't. And of course, this is probably the first chance you guys will get to really get into the nitty-gritty, roll up your sleeves and start, as the phrase was used at some points, eating our own dog food. Well, I'm looking forward to that because, it's time for us to really make this a community event. We can take information and opinions and
Okay.
all that stuff from everybody anyway, up until the last minute.
Okay.
It's impossible that we get to the town meeting and we put this out there and somebody stands up and wants to amend something.
Okay.
So be it. It's your government, it's your law, and we're only bucket water carriers to it at this point.
I think the value of this event, I don't think people are going to come looking to get into the nitty-gritty. They're not going to come looking to read
I don't think
the
so.
draft of the charter. We could have a document with a couple takeaways.
Yep.
Like, hey, these are a couple takeaways. It could be rooted in the observations and recommendations, but very brief, just to kind of pique people's interest, to remind them that this process is going on. And I think because of the diligence in terms of the listening session, in terms of meeting with everybody, what people are going to say at this, I don't think it's going to be any surprise. I think we're going to be able to say, oh yeah, we accounted for that in the draft, or like, I think people are going to be pretty on board, and we might hear something new, and I think we'll be able to incorporate that. But I think it's going to be really, I think one of the benefits is just going to be conversations between the different departments, which we've already started with, right? We're like, and just bringing together people to work together. And maybe there's a question, maybe this is rooted in a question, like, what's your preferred future for Paxton? So like, where everybody kind of feels like they have ownership of it, whether it's the zoning bylaws that Roberta's dealing with, whether it's the business development that Tony's been working on, whether it's the charter. It's kind of, that's the ultimate question is, what's your preferred future for Paxton?
Yeah,
And
what's
to
your
make them
priority?
feel like they're moving forward, they're a part of it, will only help us in the end, I think.
I suggest to you that there's also another component. And one of the things, I live in a neighborhood where a lot of people there, I mean, the finance committee's got a representative, the council on aging's got a representative. We now have a press member that's involved, tells me everything. And so I think it's fair to say that I've talked to people that have, been at some of those things in one capacity or not when we made our presentations. And one of the things that has come up, well, it's easy to put your mouth where your money is, and it's easy to put your money where your mouth is, and they've taken off on that. So, but how do we have confidence on you? You talked a good speech, and you did a good thing. And these are not people that are being critiquing. They just say, we need to know that you guys are really going to do this, that you're not going to. Somebody asked me why one of the charters that I had looked at, why it never got enacted, and it's because the committee fell apart. And well, that's my take.
It's hard for the intro.
Okay, shall we take a recess?
No, sorry. Sorry.
It's Steve.
Spam.
He's coming.
It's spam.
Okay. No problem. I never will make an announcement not to answer your phone. So, in any event, I do think that getting together, whether or not we have a charter, and Chuck's points are excellent, as are Megan's, but we're going to be there to help develop rapport, we're going to help develop confidence, and we're going to demonstrate that we are in it for real. That we're not going to just go out there and, appear in front of everybody and then walk away and nothing gets done. We're going to drive down that truck all over the place. With that being said, we've heard from all you guys so far. Anybody have any comments? Or Megan, do you have anything else to say about the October 25th proposed? Now,
Yeah.
we'll vote on it and take it, solidify it. Is that okay? Anybody ready to do that?
I would just add that we may still be recruiting for some vacant
Oh,
positions
point.
at this event
That's a
at the
big
same
part of
time.
it.
So,
Yes.
there's that.
Well, I'm going to,
Maybe if you win a tournament, you,
oh yeah, you got an automatic free admission. Yes, that's, well, we'll get to that in a minute, I hope, but definitely one of our priorities should be to fill 2 vacancies. I mean, and I've already tried to rope some people into it. I'm about to, declare martial law and drag people into it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think that exactly is what the purpose of the event is, not only for the charter to solicit volunteers, but all of the committees that are coming
Yeah.
to get awareness for this town to, people to come and get involved.
Yeah.
So I'd like, if we could say, yes, we're on board with that, we can move forward with the planning session of it with the other parties that are involved.
Are we ready for me to make a motion to do that?
No, we have a member of the select board here. Is
I
that,
didn't notice. Oh, yes.
I'm assuming that he's here as our liaison?
He is.
Okay. So the fact that we're inviting the public and inviting a lot of the committees, is that something that the select board, do you believe, can get behind?
There you go.
So obviously, I can't speak for the complete board. However, the select board is always looking for ways to bring community members together. And we're always looking for ways to draw community members into the various boards and committees where we have vacancies. I am confident that the select board will be enthusiastically behind it. And I can tell you right now that I already am. I think it's a great idea if we could sell it as a community gathering, where we are also providing, I think it's a tremendous opportunity to grow some enthusiasm in this town. So I like it. I mean, the first one, we'll see how it goes. I would get a save the date out there as quick as possible so that people know it's coming. It's a Saturday night, which is always good. And then sell it however you want, but I think it's a great idea. I hope that answers your question, Gary. Is that all right?
It does.
Gary, thank you for doing that. I think that's appropriate, and I'm very thankful, just as a commentary, I'm grateful for the input from the citizen appearance of a member of our town who happens to be on the select board, and his attendance, I think, is a tribute to the kind of backing that we do have, and I appreciate it. I don't expect we'll necessarily always agree with the select board, or they'll agree with us, but hey, keep in mind that we work for the town, yes. We work for the people, yes. We're representatives of the people, but the select board is our boss, and we can't forget that. So having a select board member that, you know, makes as many meetings as he can and has made a lot of them so far, I think it's a great idea, and I thank you for giving the opportunity and making sure that I didn't make any oversight there. With that being said, that's fantastic. I encourage the members of the public, or whoever they may be, in any various method that they may have, you know, I'll be looking for some input on what's going on with our suggestion box, but through all of the things that we have going on out there, this one is exciting, and I do appreciate it.
So play it out for a second.
Yes.
So let's say that we're all in favor, and it's on October 25th, is Saturday night, whatever time it is, I don't know, 6 or 7 o'clock, whatever. Or we, once we vote on it, and assuming we say yes, how are we getting the other committees involved and committed to join us?
So it's kind of already starting. So we have a meeting that we're going to set up with a couple of the committees to do a joint effort for this, so that they can also help us spread the word and formulate what does that framework for the night look like. So that it isn't just us, but it is multiple committees in town that have a representative on this sort of event committee, if you will. So yes, that is already in motion.
Okay.
Tony Dominic with the Finance Committee actually already sent it out, offering up the idea and the date, saying, what do you guys all think about this?
Send it out to whom? To his committee?
His and a few others of
Okay.
the people that we know. And we've so far gotten the I'm in response.
Okay.
So,
Because Tony reached out, Tony
Yeah,
heard
he
what
did.
was going on, and he reached
Yeah.
out to Megan and I and said, hey, we heard you're planning this event. I want to be a part of it.
yeah,
Okay.
Which bodes well.
yes.
Yeah, it does. And, you know, people hearing and watching and everything like that, it's good that they comment. I mean, we're not going to necessarily knock on everybody's door, willing to knock on some doors,
Yeah.
but when they knock on our doors, that's fantastic.
And we'll see how it does. It's like the first one, so we don't really know what to expect, other than, let's see if the town responds and joins us, and we'll go from
I
there.
didn't know if there was a need on behalf of our committee, you know, through the chair or the vice chair, to send out a note to all of the committee chairs saying, here's what's going on, here's what we're doing, we hope that you can join us.
We might need to
type
do
of
that
deal.
also.
Well, I think Megan's already taken this bull by the horns, and the only thing I would ask is just keep us all posted.
Yeah, I just put some feelers out to see, is this even worth our effort? Are people even interested? And we got a yes. So I think the next step is let's collect, meet with them, and then we will definitely need to do that to all the committees that you've already met with, to say, we'd love your support and for you to join us. Once we know what we're asking them. I think at this point, we still don't know what that agenda looks like, but
Yeah.
we'll get it together.
Do you feel comfortable spearing the spearhead on this one?
Yeah, I think it'll be fun.
I mean, you already have demonstrated the competence and ability and capability and the ideas, so
Yeah.
I like to see that
I
follow.
think this will be, if it falls the way we hope it will be a big communication win, because it'll reach a lot of people, and it's just a tangible, fun event that'll bring people together in a way we haven't really
Okay.
seen.
And I view this as kind of anchoring our next newsletter too.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The next couple of weeks, as the
Yes.
details come together, we'll plug it into the newsletter, and that'll be the main call to action of the newsletter.
That's a great
Just
point.
come hear our progress, come meet, like, this is what we're doing
And our cable show,
in our cable.
which is a lead up, that won't be the only one, but now that we've anchored something, now we have something to back out to promote.
With that, I'll again ask if there's any reason for more discussion, or any more discussion or thoughts or comments.
No, I think I'm good now.
Okay, I'm going to move that we empower Megan to do what she's already doing on an expanded scale, and just give us some reports, not sending anything that has to be deliberated, but
Okay.
want to send us copies of emails and what, just giving us an update, so that we know, that it's happening and what's going on and respond. So my motion is that we do so, and authorize, to the extent that we have that authority, Megan to proceed and full speed ahead. Is there a second?
A second.
We have a second. Shall we vote? Chuck?
Aye.
There's an aye from Chuck?
Aye.
Aye from Megan? Paul?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, I vote aye. It's unanimous.
And I'll update us on the next committee member meeting where we're at, like what has happened since then, once
Outstanding.
we formulated.
What's our proposed time of that day, you think?
I want to look at my notes. I feel like it's 4 to 7, but let me just double check. It might be a little bit
So
late.
late afternoon?
Yeah,
Okay,
yep.
We don't want to go past my bedtime. So.
okay.
And they already offered food trucks too, so it's going to be like a thing.
Oh,
It'll be
wow.
fun, I know.
I want ice cream.
This could be the start of something big.
Right? You never know. You never know.
Well, congratulations. We managed to get an item voted on and everything like that. That's always my goal in anything, is to see what people want and then have them vote on it, as opposed to just passing it by. But, all right, Megan, I do have you on the second part, and that's our WPAX committee liaison,
Okay.
which is a position title I invented, and I hopefully that you would be willing to accept. But I think that on all kinds of counts, and I have received feedback from some of the people I talked to, that how come we don't see you on television? And I don't think they're talking about NBC or CBS.
Yeah, not yet.
But when we had a meeting in this very room with Nick Polovich, who's the guru and supervisor and king of WPAX, we have Scott in the room. He's closed the door, so he doesn't want to come out. But I mean, these people have a lot of resources, a lot of things, and I think maybe we should utilize them.
So we have met with Nick, and we've reached out to him, and he said the table's open. So we can do it any way we want. So Chuck and I have already started brainstorming, what is that first initial show that we're going to present, something fun and engaging, but we will get on a cadence with Nick, and we've already had that conversation. So he's waiting for us on a time and a date, and now that we have this event, I think that would be a really good time to get that going in September, mid-September.
Well, if he does come and whatever, I could grab a microphone and go interview people. I've done that in the past, and Gary, I know, is a crowd pleaser, so we could probably.
You would never know.
No, it'll be good. We're just kind of figuring out the what
People
right
over
now.
there or whatever it is in Holden, they seem to think that you're a really funny guy.
So you'll be expecting that we would have some kind of cable support for the
Yes.
October 25th event?
He already said he'd be willing to share that with us, but what he wants from us is the what. What do we want to do? Like a show where we're interviewed, where we do a mock interview? That's if we're talking about what we've been up to. Do we do, what were some of the others that we threw around? I forget. They were pretty creative.
Okay.
But yes, that's what we need to nail down is how do we do this with Nick, but he's willing and ready.
Well, I'm going to suggest that an article be on the next meeting where we have some concrete ideas. In between then, we can,
About the
Megan, you're the
cable.
leader on this, so if you can tell, some of the methods and, options that we have. I mean, having an open book from them and the electronic capability is great. Now we just have to figure out how to use it. So I'm not sure what role that is, a publiciter, a producer or whatever, but you'll take that one and run with it too? Okay, well, geez.
So he's already waiting for us to confirm our plan, but he's already said, yes, just tell me what you need.
Okay. Now go ahead, Gary.
No, if the committees besides ours are in attendance on the 25th and they have the ability to do, a 2 or 3 minute blurb as to who they are and what they do for the town, again, you're getting not just the people who are there, but all those that are home watching it. I think that would be a win-win again.
Agree.
And, I think the people, need to see the cable committee getting out there. I mean, that's more than just recording meetings that can
Yeah.
pick up on Utah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm not sure it's something that needs to be voted on, but I'm going to suggest that we do. We empower Megan to further act with Chuck as the WPAX committee liaison, and would assign for the task for getting us some more publicity events. We're coming to the point in time where the next thing that's out there is going to be very publicity driven, because we're going to be soliciting people to look at what we've done and, slap us silly if we've done something that they're offended of, or pat us on the back, whatever. So I motion that. Any seconds? Boy, Megan, say yes.
A second.
Okay, there we go. Votes?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, that is motion that has been seconded and carried. And Megan has got a lot of work to do. Okay, before anything else happens, I think it's appropriate for you guys to know that, we do have an opening. We need to reorganize, and I don't want to be presumptuous, but if anybody doesn't mind, I would be available if you want to nominate me. But I'll step aside and wait to hear from nominations. Anybody else? It is open, and anybody else that wants to speak, in favor of themselves being nominated, or if you want to speak in behalf of somebody, let's hear it now. Paul, let me encourage you. Gary's spoken already. I'll hear some.
I don't have a nomination to make. I'm just trying to think of what we're looking for, what qualities are we looking for our leadership, as we go forward. And I think we have a variety of, good skill sets on the committee. Your legal expertise is, super valuable. The communication aspect. So, I know we are still missing a couple, we have some vacancies. We could think about what skill sets we're looking for, in particular to help fill those vacancies. Not that we get to choose necessarily who volunteers, but if we're trying to think about who, what else we want to add to our group. And not that, if and when we do fill those spots, that will affect our dynamic as well. But those are just my thoughts.
Chuck, anything to contribute or thoughts?
No, those are good points. Yeah, if you're willing, you've done a good job as vice chair. I'm willing to nominate you as chair.
Megan, you have any thoughts, comments, or wishes?
I'm curious what Gary was going to say, but I don't have any comments at the moment.
Gary?
So, the initial role of the vice chair was really to step in when the chair was not available. I think you had also expressed an interest at the very beginning in terms of being in that role. So, I think that would be the most logical step for us at this stage. The question becomes as to who may fill in as vice chair. And I had shared that I'd be willing to do that reluctantly if no one else wanted it. But I also have no interest in becoming the chair. So if that was to be done in a supportive role, I'm happy to do that. I do believe there is a lot of work that still needs to be done, and sometimes, those of us who are retired to some extent may have some more time to do that, but so it doesn't put as much of a burden upon three of you if you're all still three working. So.
I appreciate that a lot, because I would agree with, I had a feeling that's where you were going to go with that. I motion to nominate you, David, as the chair of the committee.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any conversations, discussions, comments that go along with that?
No,
Okay.
I think it makes sense.
I am humbled by that. The fact of the matter is that I enjoy this. I kind of enjoyed being second chair, so you could work behind the scenes, but I promised to be transparent and also not talk as much as I did as a vice chair. I thought that was my role.
Break a promise already.
And I thank you very much, Paul, for not mentioning that.
Well, as long as Gary is expressing a willingness to help, nudge and, cajole and, corral and support, I think it's a good team.
Wow, okay. Shall we have a vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the vote is carried. I abstain from voting for myself.
Congrats.
All right, that means that we do have an opening for the vice chair. And Gary's already...
Gary.
Yeah, I second.
I thought we could drag this one out a little bit. Okay, Gary has self-nominated, and anybody want to speak to that other than Gary's comment? Most, actually not willing, but willing.
I appreciate your willingness, both of you, I appreciate both of your willingness to serve in these roles. I know it might not be your first choice to be the vice chair, but thankfully acknowledging that you have a role to play, and I've appreciated your voice and perspective throughout the process.
And I, as well, Gary, I look forward to working with you in public. We've done some things in the past and, together, especially on this charter. And as chair, I will definitely utilize your abilities, some of which you're not even aware of yet. Okay, we have a nomination. I think we have a second. Is that correct?
Second.
A vote for Gary to become vice chair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any comments? I vote aye as well. It's unanimous. Thank you very much, Gary, for volunteering.
You're welcome.
And there we go. With that being said, I guess we're at the stage now where new business is out there. Sometimes in my mind, new business is stuff that we've talked about, but we haven't put it on the agenda. That's not necessarily, what's the word, kosher for that, but in any event, keep on doing that because it's important to bring updates and things like that. And, we'll get everything we can on the agenda, but I don't think we should be married to it. The first thing I would like to suggest on new business, it's not really new business, but let's just dust it off the shelf, and it's been mentioned here, is that we need more people. All right, we have coming up, and one of the things I will propose and put it on the next agenda is a revised pathway. We have the structure. I just like to revise it a little bit and make sure it's out there that we know how we're going to get to where we're going. You know where we're going, and we want to get there, and we want to get there in an expeditious time, but without leaving any stone unturned or thrown, if that's the case. And that's to get more membership. I stridently and hopefully ask everybody to make an extra effort to anybody that you talk to, or anybody that you think you can talk to, or anybody that you think can talk to somebody, to go out there and solicit and get people on there. We do have a prohibition that anybody who's serving on another town board cannot participate. There's a good reason for that. It's kind of a separation of powers thing, and conflict of interest thing and all that sort of thing. But the reality is that everybody that's out there knows somebody. And I'd also encourage anybody listening or talking, if they have any questions or whatever, there is a space for 2 people, and we need those people. In fact, if 10 people respond and show that they're interested, then maybe we could try to figure out how to have an associate or something. But that be that as it may, that's the number one priority. You've already got other things to do, but we are going to be going out there to the public again, back to the people we've already gone to, and hopefully to some people that we haven't talked to or that haven't been able to talk to us, and basically show them what we have done, that we've done what we said we're going to do, and now we're going to do what we say we're going to do some more. And that's going to involve a lot of people going out. We're going to have, a rehash of, 3 people getting together, 2 people getting together with everybody, just to make sure that, everything we thought they said is what they said, because it's what's in the draft charter. That being said, anybody have any thoughts on how to go about, proceed, concrete, direct ideas, how to get some people in here?
Well, we may get some people in October at our meeting,
Right?
but With that being said, I still believe that the majority of the work that we have to do right this moment is the drafting and the review. And that's going to be, I'm hoping, done in the next month or so. After that point in time, again, that's just my own personal perspective, any additional members to the committee is going to be more about, marketing and selling it to the town and making whatever changes. So there's a crucial time period right now in my mind that if someone out there is listening and they want to be involved in actually creating the charter and doing the wording, et cetera, or doing the internal review, that time is now. Another 30, 45 days really at the max, and after that it's going to take a whole different level of involvement. It's going to be more marketing and being aware and trying to push to the final line as opposed to creating it. So.
Good point. The second priority that I want to mention is that we have already done some preliminary contact with the state senator and our state representative, and I think we need to get on board and start giving them a little bit more impetus or incentive. So I think we need to figure out how to contact them and how to get them involved. And I think the first thing that we do is once we get our draft, they should be one of the two people that are most directly after the select board are being made aware, because we're going to need them to push us over the line if we get through town meeting. And I don't like the idea of, I see so many, in my experiences of seeing so many good laws or proposed laws end up stuck someplace. And that's because of lack of them thinking that, we're behind it or whatever. So one of the next things I would suggest is that somewhere along the line, we should encourage people who think we're doing the right job, who want to see us succeed and want to have this charter out there so that they can have, a good basis for knowing what our government is and what it's been doing, is that maybe they can, as citizens and, constituents of those two people, maybe they could get on the phone and start talking or send a letter. I mean, letters to the editor are nice, but letters to the senator and representative are nice. And the other thing I'll say is that, those are two people, and they both have experience and are very influential and whatever, but there's nothing wrong with talking to, to House members, whatever. It's not hard to know that we have towns around us that don't have the same representatives, whatever. And, I think we ought to start exploiting that opportunity. So anybody has any thoughts on that now, and if you think something overhand, we'll put it on the agenda and whatever. Mr. Bogan, do you have any thoughts on that?
I was just with Peter Durant last weekend before last maybe. I'll be more than happy to reach out to him. If you guys let me know what you want me to pass along, I'll give him a call. And he's a great guy. His wife's a wonderful person. I know for a fact that he would do anything he could to help us out within his power. So let me know what you want said, and I'll reach out to him.
Okay. Well, I guess the initial part is that, hey, we're coming. And we want to get you guys on board. We want your advice. The political advice. My participation in state government has been, some time ago, and I have very few contacts there in the political sense, but the bottom line is we're going to need all the help he can get, and any suggestions that he may have, any suggestions that Ms. Ferguson can have would be greatly important. Any advice that they have, they or their representatives can send us an email saying, hey, I think you ought to try this. Hopefully they're watching at least one or two of our meetings and get the idea that, what we're trying to do, and if they have any thoughts. These are professional people in getting out, reaching out to the public and encouraging the public to participate and, showing the public that these are people that can do things. Any advice, any thoughts, any comments that they have?
Well, I think that dialogue started, right? I think we had reached out to them earlier, And they had, I think, what was their direction at that point, was that their role was more at the end, I felt like.
Yeah, well, you know, I disagree. And anything that I ever participated in legislative, I didn't wait to the end, because if they don't know it's coming, or if they're not participating in it, they don't have a stake. And the fact that we don't want their advice at the end so that we have to go undo something we've done, if we have their advice, like, you know, how to participate, this thing that we're going to be doing at Soccer Asylum is a great thing, but hey, what do they suggest? I mean, should we go out and try to get a guy that, you know, I don't know, make balloon figures with it or something like that?
Maybe they get invited.
Yeah, agreed.
They definitely should be invited, yes, absolutely. And
And I think the initial plan, you know, Steve has spoken to them. I think the initial plan was, once we had a solid draft, then that draft was going to be shared with them early enough on that any additional changes could be made early on, so way in advance of any town meeting. So I think that was part of what the original
Right.
plan was.
But again, all I'm saying is that, you know, there's a big gap between working on getting legislation and getting it passed. There's a lot of things that can be done and have been done, and I know, because I've done some of them, when you're trying to advocate for a bill. You want people to expect that it's coming and to have participated in that. And the politicians, I mean, it has necessarily a reality that they are participating. And if you keep them on the sidelines to the point where, here, we want you to pass this, if that's the next contact that they have, then, you know, understandably, there's a lot of work that they have to do that, you know. But, I mean, there's people out there passing bills and filing bills and wanting charters, and you know, we want to get on that calendar. We want to get on that, you know, post-it board that, hey, you know. So there you go. That's just a thought, and but I think we should not have one email to each of them and maybe one phone conversation with them. I don't think we need to stop there.
I will plan to invite them to that event as
Yeah,
the
that's
next
a good
step for
idea.
sure, and then we can ask them how closely they want us to connect with them too. And we can keep a regular cadence of updates to them.
We can send a newsletter, I think there's ways to, because
Absolutely.
we also don't want to burden them, right? We want to let them determine their
Well,
role.
remember, we are their voters. And, you know, so I don't think we're bothering them. They have, I mean, they have, you know, office people, and they have legislative aides and all that sort of thing. And I can tell you from experience, my wife was doing 10 and 12 hours worth of work on, you know, being the interface between her and the representatives. So I think I can tell you quite frankly, they welcome input.
Yeah.
And they welcome things to do. And we're not calling them to get them to fix a speeding ticket or something like that. We're calling them to, all right? Anything more on that topic?
No.
No.
Can I raise a topic?
You may, absolutely.
Since we have Pete here, I think we want to take advantage of that, because at our last meeting, we had discussed some asks we had of the select board in terms of what we wanted to discuss with them. So I think now is a good time with Pete here to kind of touch base with him, and we know he can't speak for the whole board, but in terms of, I think we wanted to get on the agenda.
Right.
And there were a few points that we wanted to discuss in terms of the role of town council. What's the best way to engage him in our process? Clarifying the acts of 2013, Chapter 122, and whether renaming was appropriate. And some of these are discussions with the select board, some of them are kind of legal questions for town council as well. So I think what's our question is, what's the best way to get that in front of the select board?
And just so that, for purposes of everybody that might be looking at this, and you know, Mr. Selectman, Chairman, sir, I don't know if you received the whatever. It came out a little bit early, faster than I wanted, and I think there's a little bit of a confusion, at least on one of the articles. But the bottom line is, we have asked to have the town council do 4 things for us. And most of them are not exactly a new thing. They've been topics that we've thrown at them, you know, at the select board even before it was enlarged. And we also talked to the former town administrator about it. But one of the things that's initially is, and I know money is tight, and that's always a limitation, but if possible, I think the town council, we might want to have some sort of an initial meeting with them to tell them what we're doing and to, put them in the loop. And then ultimately, we're asking the town council to look at the thing and pass, before we go to town meeting, because the last thing I want to do is have it not get on the warrant because the article is disapproved because town council says, well, wait a minute, this is legal, it's ultra vires, or you can't do this, or it conflicts with that. I've done a lot of research to make sure that what we generally produce doesn't have any problems, but, let's face it, I don't have a staff and another set of eyes looking at it. So we are asking, and hopefully it's been conveyed to the select board, that we'd like to have at least initial contact with town council just to get that person in the loop. And is that something that select board knows about or has heard or has?
What's the purpose of getting Brian in the loop?
Well, ultimately, we're going to create a statute for a proposed statute. And some of the things that we're putting in there are things that, to the best of my research and whatever, and Gary's research and commentary, is that, these are things that are within the scope of what a town charter can do. There's some language, legal gobbledygook that, needs to go in there, and I'm cutting out a lot of legal in my things, but I want to make sure that the words that I use, which I like because they are, people words as opposed to legal words or lawyer words. And so we'd like to, just keep, hey, we'd like to come to you at some point before we go out to the public and start saying, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do for you, this is how we're going to do it. Make sure that town council is aware and says, okay, there's nothing there that you're doing that's wrong, or there's something here that you might want to do better. And I think just to make sure the town council is aware that this is coming, because at some point in time, the select board is going to probably ask when it comes time to put an article on the warrant, the town council to review. And,
So my recommendation would be to get the charter to the point where it's been reviewed by select board.
Okay.
Then we send it to town council. Town council will redline it however he sees necessary, sending it back to say, here are some things that we need to work on. Work on those things, and then send it back to town council before we go to town meeting to make sure that we tightened up everything he needs to have tightened up. My only hesitation about bringing town council in prior to that is exactly what you've already alluded to. It's a budget item. When we've had to go to a part-time town administrator, that the budget's tight, and it's as tight as it gets. We're all hoping that September will help us a little bit, but I would really like to see you get to the point where select board has looked at it. You feel like this is darn close to the final product, send it to town council, let him mark it up. We'll work on, you guys, not we, you guys will work on making any necessary adjustments that need to be made. We'll send it to town council again, then to make sure that we're all set. That's what I would recommend.
Excellent. And the first request was something that we wanted to get that kind of a little bit formalized to you, and that's the purpose of making it something that was voted, or at least the purpose I had behind it, was to get it so that it was in the queue, so to speak. And I think what you've just said, and hopefully when the select board looks at it as a whole, they'll see that that's what it is. So, let's get this idea in the queue rather than it's something that, we're not prepared for or not expecting. Because somewhere along the line, no matter what happens in September or whatever, we are going to be at that point. And it's going to be before the next fiscal year. And, I hopefully we can prepare that when, so that it is some money that can be put to that use, because, and so as you guys spend money, and, the appropriations, that somewhere we're in that queue.
We're not at the point where we can't use town council, but we want to use them judiciously.
Exactly.
So, if I may,
You may.
I think that we're all on the same page about the fact that before this becomes finalized and ready to go to town for a vote, we're going to have council's eyes from a legal perspective, take a look at it to make sure we're on board. I think one of the issues that we have struggled with from the very beginning, though, is this concept as to whether or not we have a charter now. And Dave has done his research, and frankly, we're somewhat convinced as a committee that what we currently have now may not be a charter. So by asking us to be a committee to review the charter, where potentially a charter does not exist, questions whether or not that we are properly charged as a committee to do what we're doing, as opposed to a committee to create a charter. And I think that preliminary issue was something that we as a committee needed to get reaffirmed, whether we are wrong or whether we are correct, and whichever way, how best to go from there. Because based upon what we have discussed, if it's one way, then we're making recommendations in a different fashion than if it's another way. So we wanted to get that concept before the select board so we can at least hash that out. And then depending upon where that level of conversation went, that particular question could be raised then to the town council without getting into the substance of each and every article within the charter.
And what you're saying makes perfect sense. I don't have any issue with that. When I received the initial email, it almost sounded like, we'd like to have town council join us at a few meetings, and that gets very expensive very quickly.
Yeah.
And so posing a question, I just had town council review something for me regarding an issue we have coming up at our next select board meeting. That's not a problem asking a specific question. We do ask that it go through the select board or now the town administrator first, just so we can track these items, make sure that we're staying within our budget. But a question like that, what I would do is I would, as the vice chair, just draft the question that you'd like asked, send it off to Donna Graff Parsons, our administrative assistant, and she and Bob can decide the best way to handle that. But she'll get you the answer. She's outstanding.
I just want to add to this, the issue, and it's maybe been blown up, maybe I blew it up. The issue of whether or not there is a charter or not is a matter of words. And words have significance. That's something I have said at almost every other. And when you look at something that says you're a charter review committee, that takes away some of the power that we have. And the mandate talks about reviewing the intergovernmental acts, of which there are 3. And as a lawyer, I'm satisfied with the fact that there is no charter. There is 3 intergovernmental acts, none of which address what the major concerns that we received from all of the entities that we interviewed. We've done our due diligence. We have reviewed what is being used and is legally being used as in place of the charter. But it's not a charter for all kinds of reasons. And the final word on that came from the archivist, who I said, because as you may know, any sort of article like a charter especially, but any special act has to be lodged as a permanent record with the archivist. They are the repository, just like the town clerk is the repository of a lot of permanent public records. And they say, we ain't got it. And it's just like the bylaw committee. There are a lot of bylaws out there that aren't bylaws. They're not binding because they did not go before the Attorney General's office. Ergo, they're not binding. So what I wanted to do is, let's get the flag out there and call us what we are, because that's what we're going now. We are going to draft a charter. Doesn't mean it's going to eliminate, and it doesn't mean that we have to repeal, and I think a lot of people are afraid that, you know, if we call them a charter drafting committee and they say there's no charter, you know, there isn't a charter, but I don't care if there is or isn't for purposes of this, because we're going to incorporate what is there, and we're going to overturn what is, because this is going to supersede those things. There's all kinds of ways of doing it. I want to make sure that when somebody is called a charter review committee and somebody says to me, hey, you really aren't the charter review committee because you say there's no charter. And besides that, you're trying to draft a charter, but it doesn't say that you're supposed to draft a charter. Just changing our name will now put us, you know, this is a rubber stamp that's on what we're doing, and we need to have that because, you know, if we're going to go to the legislature, and I know some people that are in the legislature that are very stickler. I was one of those people that was very stickler on things. And I can tell you quite frankly that, you know, if you say you're a charter review committee and you're coming to them saying, hey, we want you to pass a special act charter, well, what the heck have you got? Is this a citizen petition? Because you're a charter review committee, what it says. And you've told us there's no charter, even if there's intergovernmental acts. So I just would like to say.
Come under, so I disagree with you.
Yep.
Because charter review to me is a process.
Yep.
You're looking at the charter, we're determining we don't have a charter. Charter review is a whole process, then we're putting a charter in place. But do you think, are you arguing that legally it puts us on less firm ground?
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to say, I think, it feels like you're inventing boogeyman to me.
No, I'm not.
I was going to say, like, if we have a clear mandate, like, if select board affirms our mandate as a charter review committee to write a charter, I think it's okay.
Then you're not
From a
reviewing the
communications
charter.
perspective, changing the name now would be a nightmare.
I don't-
People would be confused, it would be like, wait, is this the charter review committee, is this a different committee, have you read? And then once we draft the charter, do we change our name again to the charter approval committee? Like,
No, because we don't approve the charter.
right, but you know what I mean? Like,
No, I
once
do.
drafting is
The
done.
problem is, and having been in the courtroom and have cases going before, you know, the appeals court and the Supreme Judicial Court, the reality is, we have done our review. That's over with. You can make the argument that we can now disband because we have done what we've been asked and charged and empowered to do. It is time now for us to move on to the next step, which is not clear. Our mandate, our committee title does not say we are to then proceed and draft a charter. We are drafting a charter, but we want to make sure that we don't have to go to somebody and say, well, what authority do you have to do that?
But does that mandate
So-
be in a title?
Yes, you have to have standing.
So
I think that we take Peter's suggestion and we develop a question with, and give that to the appropriate parties, get on the select board agenda, see what the question is answered and how it's answered, and then we have a better idea of what we have to do.
Right.
I think we got to take that one step.
what is the proposed name?
Charter Draft and Presentation Committee or something like that. You can name it whatever you want,
This is
but
what it's on there.
this is what it
Committee
says.
To draft a proposed Paxton Special Act Charter.
And-
It's a new name.
Why can't we just have
So
the charter committee?
Sure.
So the-
Let's get rid of review.
But the problem is that we've talked about in prior meetings, is how do you review a document that is not what it's intended to be? It's not a charter as far as we're concerned. It doesn't even use the word charter in it. So that potentially has an impact upon what we're able to do.
Which is why I'm proposing dropping the review.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we just need some clarification, and then we're able to move forward
So
in a better way.
we'll make sure that we get you on the select board agenda. That's not a problem. Again, just run that through Donna, and Donna will
Yeah.
send that to me, and I'll make sure we're all set with that.
Look at this. You wanted to be the vice chair, and look at all the things you've got for homework already.
Trying to
Good.
move the process along.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to make sure we agree as a committee before we move that forward to the select board, and I think that town council will be helpful.
I mean, the real reality, and the thing that concerns me the most is, I just don't want, when we present this saying, we already have a charter, and you have to get rid of that. No, we don't. We can just put a clause in the charter that we're going to propose that will resolve that whole issue. But I don't want there to be any conflicts or any argument. Well, how can you put an item in your draft charter to get rid of the charter that doesn't exist? Or how can you, how are you going to account for the fact that there are 3 documents? And the Division of Local Services has had some interesting visits, most recently in Groton, where they've gone to them and they say, hey, you got to have a charter. You don't have it. What do you mean we don't have a charter? Well, they fixed that. Of course, they're 10,000 people and, a lot more wealthy than Paxton is.
So,
Anyway, I note the time.
so we'll get you on the select board meeting agenda, and then if you do have specific questions for town council you'd like to submit, just send them to Donna,
Yep.
and Donna will run them through Robert, and we'll take care of it from there.
When is the select board that will be presenting? Did we determine that date?
I don't think we've been agendarized yet, but I'm
We're
certain.
working on it.
There are 2 requested dates, right? The 20,
We're meeting the 8th and the 22nd.
so I think the 22nd is when we were hoping,
September?
of September.
Yeah.
And again, this is all kind of designed to prepare the charter committee's thoughts with the select board so that we can, I mean, I mean, if you guys say, how about, changing it to the charter committee, why not? Just as long as it says with that our charge is to the draft one.
And then, Megan, if you send me just a little blurb about the October event.
Yeah.
At the end of the next meeting, I'll make sure I read
Oh,
that
great.
out.
Okay.
So our next meeting is the 8th?
Yes, that's, if we consider, anybody have any issues with keeping our meeting agenda, the first Monday and
Well, we're meeting every 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, every 2 weeks.
Yeah, so the 8th and the 22nd.
Right. All right, so I'll put in there that we've all scheduled our next meeting for the 8th, and the 22nd will be our brief appearance before the select board. Is there anything else that needs to be addressed? Want to put on the agenda, want to be put on the agenda for next year? By all means, state your business, and or otherwise send us something between now and then. Wow, I think we've had the most conversation.
I move to adjourn.
Is there a second on the motion to adjourn? There is. A vote.
Aye.
Look at this, 5 O's all straight through. I declare that the meeting is now adjourned, and thank you very much for your participation and attendance, and also for putting me in the seat. One of the things I'm going to want to do is ask about, you already heard me.
What would the neighbors think?